How's he doing that health-wise? How's that he must be doing okay.
Okay. This year being an Ibra year, it's a special year. Generally, Parah Shemini comes out already mid of the Omer. In the second week of the Omer. This year it comes out on Parshas Parah. Right, and we'll research the connection of how it's this uncommon but happens every so often. Parshas Shemini and Parshas Parah cross over. Hey, the Medrash. Right.
What is that?
Oh, that's a washing machine. Whatever. Anyway.
I told you, that's right.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's very nice. Somebody's stomach is going.
Anyway, so all right. So the interesting thing is the Medrash is preoccupied. The very first Medrash this week's parasha. Something which it's not a hard question, but it's something to ask. It's a Vayi Bayom Hashmini on the 8th day. What do you mean the 8th day? What are you counting from? Right, the 8th day. The 8th day. So date wise, what was the date? The Yom Hashmini was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which is apropos that we're headed there. That's 1 week away. Would have been better if we've worked out as Parshas HaChodesh. Would have been exactly. But Yom Hashmini was Rosh Chodesh Nisan.
It's Parshas HaChodesh and it's Rosh Chodesh.
Right, correct. Right, but so the thing is like this. Why is it called the 8th day? Right. So seemingly, because for a technical reason, that prior to that were the Shivas Yemei Miluim, where Moshe Rabbeinu was serving as the Kohen Gadol. And it was something very interesting that, during those 7 days, they assembled the Mishkan, did the Avodah, disassembled, assembled, disassembled. On this 8th day, which was Rosh Chodesh Nisan, that was when the Mishkan was put up on a permanent basis, pending whenever Am Yisrael had to travel to the location, might as well be up and stay up. Right? And that's when Aaron gets the kahuna. So seemingly it's a fresh start. Right, it's a new order that now the kuna passes to Aaron and the Mishkan stays up. But no, the Torah, correlates it. Then call it the 8th, even though the 7th, the 7 days Miluim was one Mahalach with Moshe Rabbeinu as the Kohen Gadol, and he had a Beged Lavan, like we discussed once, without a hem. He didn't have Big Day Kahuna, and he took it down. On this day, Rosh Chodesh Nisan is normal functioning. It passes to Aaron, and he does the avodah with the normal Big Day Kahuna, and the Mishkan is up to it. But the Torah connects it. It's the 8th. It's the 8th day. Call it the built on top of those 7 where the Mahalach was totally different. Right? Go ahead. So we're going to discuss what that means exactly. We're going to finally discuss what that means. Why is 8th L'mal Miderech HaTeva?
The 8th day after the 7 days.
7-day week.
Right, we'll get to it.
After the 7th day of creation is also a normal day. The first Sunday, whatever. Everything was created in the first 7 days of the world. The 8th day is also.
Well, you actually said something which is deeper than what you think. So the Medrash opens up and goes through all the 7s that we have in our history. It's very interesting.
It's over like 500, right?
What?
It's over like 500.
Excuse me?
It's over like 500?
That we know. There was not 500 in this in the examples. There's like 6 or 7 examples.
Right,
yeah. 7s. And which is interesting. It doesn't even talk about the 8th. Right? It talks about the 7s. Now we're going to take 3 examples from this Medrash. And you'll see that 2 out of those 3, very much have to deal with the crossover between Parshas Shemini and Parshas Parah. So I'm going to start with the very first one. Vayi Bayom Hashmini. Rav Abba Bar Kahana Pasach. Chochmas Nonshim Basa Beisa. Tavcha Tivcha Shachzeh. Right, this is a pasuk in Mishlei. The wisdom of women built the house, carved out 7 columns, Chatzamudei Shiva, and they set up slaughtered, set up an unbelievable barbecue, called everyone for the Suda, and then the fools, strayed. That's roughly the psukim in Mishlei. So what is that? So what is these psukim referring to? So it's going to be like many different drushes on this pasuk. So, right. So Rav Ava Barakana brought all the different drushes on this pasuk. So Rav Yirmiyah Bar Eloi pasuk kraba briasa shel olam. So Rav Yirmiyah Bar Eloi darshans this pasuk on the creation of the world. That's what Yaakov was thinking. Darshans on the creation world. Chochmas Bansa Besa, the wisdom created out Zakosh B'Chsid Be Hashem B'Chochma Yasar Eretz. That's Hakosh, as the pasuk says in Mishlei elsewhere. Hashem B'Chochma Yasar Eretz. Hashem with wisdom founded the earth. So Chochma Bansa Besa. Chochma built the house. The house is the world itself. Chotzva Amudeha Shiva. It has 7 pillars. Elu Shivas Yamei Bereshis. The 7 days of Bereshis, Shabbos included. Shneimar Kshesh Min Vayrachim Es Yom HaShvi. Tavcha tivcha, and he slaughtered, he butchered, in preparation for a suda. That's Yokim Totzart's, nefesh chaya, brought forth all the animals. Mascha yena, and he poured the wine. Yokim yikavu amayim, let all the waters gather to one place to expose land. That's like pouring, right, making all the waters flow to one place. Af orcha shulchana, he set the table. Yokim tachart's deshet, esav matzriya zera. That's like setting the table, making all the earth be filled with vegetation, like setting the table. Shulchan Aruch said Tikra, and then he called, for his maidens to come. That's Ze Odom V'Chava. Al Gapeim Rome Kerzes, she Siton HaKadosh Baruch, he called them to come on the heights, right? So that's she Siton HaKadosh Baruch V'Karlos Alahus, that HaKadosh Baruch actually sort of led Adam and Chava astray, because he called them gods, called them Elohus. Right? Hado dechsev v'isem kelukim, meaning because the Nachash, was the, meaning HaKadosh allowed the Nachash to tell him that if you eat from this tree, v'isem kelohim, right? So that's, so they were misled. They could be like gods. Achar kol tev hashevach hazeh mi pesi yosur, the fool strays. Hine heminichu dato shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'holchu achar dato shel Nachash. They abandoned what HaKadosh Baruch Hu had planned for them, and they went after the Nachash's eitzah. Right? B'shulka chosolev amrlos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls them, one of empty heart, meaning empty of intelligence, and that's the pasuk offer ato, you're nothing but earth, and you're going to go back to earth. Right? Doesn't really mention the 8th. There's 7. Chotz Hamudei Shiva. The 8th is not mentioned. Talks about it was the failure. Right, and we have the Medrash follows this pattern a few times over. I want to jump to something that happened, elsewhere in the Chumash. It says like this: the Bar Kappa pasuk kra b'Torah. So Bar Kappa darshan this whole pasuk on Torah, right? That the Torah Chachmas Bansa Beisa Zutara. Kadod Echsiv, Ki Hashem Yitain Chachma. So Chachma is the Torah, right? And Chotzva Mudeha Shiva, it has 7 pillars. Elu Zayin Sifrei Torah, because there's 7 parts to Chumash. So Medrash asks, V'alo Chamisha, it's 5 parts to Chumash. So Bar Kapara Avi Mireisha de Vayidaber Vayim B'Tzara Chad, right? Min Vayi B'Tzara Uvenuchol Chad. Vatsofe Chad Have Zayin. So now with the 2 opposite nuns that surround the Parsha of Vayi Ben Soah and Uvenuchu Yomar, there's a nun before, right? So it cuts up Sefer Bamidbar to before Vayi Ben Soah, and after Vayi Ben Soah. So right, so that therefore it becomes 7 parts to Chumash. So as far as 7 sections of Chumash because of how you make Sefer Bamidbar 3, right? Tavcha Tivcha Elo Onshin, butchering, for the Suda. Butchering is the onshin, skila sefer harak and chenek. Mascha yena, right, pouring the wine. El kam chaz Shabbos, that's the Torah Shebal Peh. Mascha miloshem maseches, so that's Gzeir Shabbos and Kal V'Chaimers. Af archa shulchan el achanim, and setting the table is the halachas of erachin, all in Yonei Torah. Shulchan Aruch said Tikra Yisrael HaKadosh will call to the maidens to come. That's Klal Yisrael. Al Gaibros Kares, come on to the heights. Sitan HaKadosh Karlos Alahus, also Am Yisrael got misled, and HaKadosh called them deities. Shenema Ani Amarti Elohim Atem, which is Am Yisrael by Mamed Ar Sinai. We're on a level of Elohus Kivyachol. Achar kol shevach hazeh mi pesi yasrenu, the fool strays. Hey minichu dato sha'akadosh baruch hu v'amru la'ego elo Elohecha Yisrael. B'shul ken chaser lev amr lo achin kadam tamusan. And therefore, because they went, they left again this lashon. They left dato sha'akadosh baruch hu, and they went after the ego. Right, and so now, be lacking intelligence, Hashem tells him now, achin kadam tamusan, the second half of the pasuk. And he marked to him, achin kadam tamusan. So there's a few other examples. We'll jump to the example that comes from this week's parsha. Says like this: Rav Abba Bar Kana pasuk kra ba'ol moed. Hashem, this pasuk of Mishlei refers to ol moed. The Mishkan, right? Chachma bansa beisa ze betzalel. Shene marvel so ruachim b'chachma tvunum v'das. That's Betzalel, who has the chachma to build the Mishkan. Chatzah there are 7 pillars. Elu zayin yemei miluim, the 7 days of miluim that we spoke about, that Moshe Rabbeinu served and they, erected and disassembled the Mishkan. Harochsev kishes yemim mimalas yadchem. Tavcha tivcha, slaughtering, in preparation for the student. Elu korbanos, shechted korbanos. Mascha yena elu nesachim, and nesachim al gabe hamizbeach. Af orcha shulchana, and he's saying the table ze lechem aponim. Is that right? Be orach the lechem aponim. Shulchan Aruch Tikra, called to the maids and maidens. That's Moshe Adachsev Shemini Koram Moshe Anu Vana. Right? It doesn't follow through, right? But it's pretty clear that if you the continuation of the failure that there was not of Avihu, right, and that sort of makes sense because the pattern is Kolchu Achar Ozvu Dato Shel Makom. They didn't go with the plans of Koshku, and they went after their own das. Ba'akrivam Eishzar Shalotzivas, even though the Medrash doesn't spell that out black on white, but that's what's implied from the continuation. Right? There's this. So from the 3 examples that we brought, even though the Medrash brings a few more, right? Bria Sa'olam, right? The Torah and Cheta Ego, right? And the building of the Mishkan, and presumably the Chet of Nadav Avihu that ensued after that. Right? To understand what's going on over here, right? That the wisdom builds a house of 7. The house is of 7. Right? So that's so going from the very first example, right? Bria Sa'olam, the world was created in 7 days, right? And of course during those 7 days, everything that exists, right? Lonashar, Rakuga. His wife made it. His wife made it. Okay.
Make a bracha.
Right.
Wow.
His wife is his granddaughter.
No, okay.
Israelis aren't allergic.
Right. Okay. Right.
You know what a bump is?
Yeah, we have like a few. My siblings just came back from us. We have a few lying around the
I
house.
want to taste it if they finish.
Okay. He never had bamba before.
Oh no, we have it here.
Kids are. We're sorry. We regret the. We now resume normal programming.
Recorded live.
Radio.
This goes on the OU site. You know that? Yeah, it goes on the OU site. Everyone's famous here. All right, this is a commercial for Bamba, but now we resume.
And your kids won't be allergic to peanut butter.
It looks like cheese whiz.
I told you.
It's a shahakol. If you have a shahakol yet, you have a shahakol. Great. Oh, there you go. Dig in.
Oh, it's shit.
There you go.
Not bad.
Goes good with the cake. Right.
Good.
Right. Right. 7. All the forces of creation, right, were set up in 7 days. Right? And hence, the idea that teva, meaning the nature, olam hazeh, right, the physical forces were created in 7 days. What's the function of the 8th? So what's the 8th? Let's just ask a question like this. What's the 8th? Everything was created in 7 days.
8th is perfection.
Good. Well, let's...
Also mundane.
It's the future. Supernatural.
Right. So what?
It's right.
What everything
It's,
leads to. What
It's
everything
not
leads to.
right.
Maybe it's Vegas, maybe.
Right.
Not called Vegas.
Right.
Because Hashem created the world, so we do everything.
Right. There are 7 separate days, right? And no 2 days exist at the same time, right? You know, Sunday's not Monday and Monday's not Tuesday, right? The separate 7 forces, and the world was created with 10 different utterances in course of those 7 different days, right? So the 8th is not a new creation. All the forces were created. So what's the 8th? The 8th is the idea, right, of how to pull the pieces together in different combinations. Right? That's the idea of the 8th.
Is it what?
The idea of the 8th, right, is how the world could be pulled together in different types of combinations, pulled together in many different forms, right? Now you might say mechtesi. Who says the world could be combined? Yeah, who says? Maybe the world is what it is. Who says it could be pulled together? So that's what the pasuk opens up. Chachma bansa besa, right? There was wisdom that was put into. There's chachma, right? These are not dead forces, right? These are forces that were intelligently designed. Hence, what we call technology. Technology is really a chelik of the bria itself, because there's chachma in everything, right? And that chachma has to be unlocked, right? And it's the chachma that's in everything, which says there's intelligence in everything, that these things could be pulled together in all types of intelligent designs, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a world of 7, which is a world of potential. And it has also in it the potential, right? The potential to produce amazing things.
So why
Right?
did God that as a Goyish job and not the Jewish job? The Jewish job is only to learn Torah, but not to develop the world in any way.
That's not true. So we say we do.
But that's the way it is today. Maybe it wasn't in biblical times.
No, it's just the opposite. My Rebbe, Rav Shiva, Rav Yaakov Marmon Zichron Vracha said that the Mekubalim have said that an aspect of Shchinta Begalusa, that the Shechina is in Galus, an aspect of that is that the science is by the Goyim now. That Shchinta Begalusa. The science is supposed to be by Yidden also, just like the Torah is by us.
You agree with me?
That's something that Barry said on Farm Night, that there's not enough Jews that are doing science.
What?
He's complaining about the fact there's not enough Jews doing science.
Yeah, but the thing is that he was using it for somehow to back Sanders, and I don't know why, right? And that's why we threw him out. You know, right. Anyway, but that's what, yeah, we'll get you more.
No.
And there you go. Good, sir. There's koach chochma in creation. Like you're a person, when you look at the photosynthesis, which is in plant life, and all the energy that there's in the kochos hateva, there's tremendous chochma there.
Chachma begotten Tamin, it says.
Yes. Tremendous chochma bonsa besa, because the koach of chochma built the world. But it's just laying there, disassembled, locked up, right? Right? It's the Adam's job to reveal the chachma that's in the bria. Right?
Why is it 8?
Right? No. So the 8th is when you unlock the potential, and a function of unlocking the potential is also in pulling things together in different combinations. When you make a machine, when you make any type of contraption, right? You're pulling together pieces, right? But when you pull together the pieces, you're unlocking the B'chinas HaChachma that was in each and every piece. But if the piece will stay alone, the Chachma will remain sealed up within it. The Chachma that is in each and every piece is mitzad how it interfaces with other things. And that's how the Chachma that's in everything comes out. But the Chachma that's in everything comes out when things are pulled together. When things are pulled together. And it's intelligent design that pulls things together. We mentioned this a few times. The achdus that pulls things together, it's not something physical. Something, we have a disassembled watch on a scale. and you put an assembled watch on the other side of the scale, they weigh exactly the same. The achdus and the intelligent design is not something physical; it's something spiritual, right? But it's a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts, because the bechinas hachachma, the utility, what this combination is capable of producing, what the machine can do, as opposed to when it was in separate parts. It's not the part when it was in separate parts. Each part could, let's say, is made out of 7 parts. Each part could do 1/7 of the job that the machine does. Mapitom. It does 0 of the job. When it's together, and every part's chashuv, and the b'chinas hachachma, the hachana for everything to do something amazing, comes out when you pull the pieces together. And that's the nekudah that's called the eighth. Because it unlocks. Why is it called the eighth? Because it unlocks what's within the 7. So it is called the sum of the parts, but it's a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. It's not 7; it's 8. There's a new aspect, a new koach comes out. But that new koach comes out is the b'chinas hachachma, the chachma, bina, and das that was encoded within all those pieces. That when you leave those pieces separate, the chachma, bina, and das remain sealed away over there.
Well, we do uncover in this world. We do uncover these things. We do
Yes,
design and-
that's the hosafa that the Adam makes, right?
So we are the eighth.
We are the eighth. The Adam is the eighth. The avodah of the Adam is the eighth. But here's the thing, right? The Adam in his passion to create and to put his stamp on the bria. That his stamp on the bria is the tikkun of the bria. Why is it called the tikkun of the bria? Because it unlocks all the wisdom that's encoded within the bria, right? That when he pulls the bria together in all different types of shapes and forms and combinations, he unlocks the chachma that was in the pieces.
Potential.
Right. There's potential, right? And the Adam does it. It's called the eighth because it's not just the sum of the parts, right? It's the whole that's greater than some parts. That's the bechina of eighth, which is what we call lamala min hateva. It's lamala min hateva in the sense, right, that it's another aspect that gets revealed in addition to the way God left the world, because God left us a world disassembled with a lot of potential in it. Man has to pull the pieces together, and with pulling the pieces together, unlocks the potential, unlocks all the chachma that's away in it. Right? And that's why we find consistently that there is this tension, right? That the Adam wants to create. The Adam senses that's his mission, and that's the Indian that the Adam is a bardas, right? Bardas is miloshen, aside from being intelligent, bardas is miloshen of connection. V'adam yoda schava ishto, right? It's our koach of das is supposed to pull things together, make connections between things. Right?
Is this all material, or it could be?
No, so the material and the technological koach that we unlock by pulling things together. Right, is the chitzonius. It is the outer layer of the tikkun that Torah makes. That there's also spiritual potential in the world that needs to be unlocked. There's spiritual energy also. Chachma. There's chachma tata, lower wisdom, which is technology, and there's chachma satira. Right, istaku boiraiso bara alma. There's divrei Torah in everything. There's also the spiritual potential there is in everything that we unlock. Right, and the technology is the chitzonius of it, right, and the Torah is the pnimius of it, and that's what Marashiva said. They saw in the Mekubalim that it's terrible that the Torah and technology split. That the technology is by the goyim and only the Torah remains by the yidden. That's called shchinta begalusa. All right, that's centrist Orthodox propaganda. All right, but it's okay. It goes on the OU site. It's perfect. Goes on the OU site. Anyway.
Are you uploading this?
It's uploading to the OU site.
Right now already?
No, not yet. Tomorrow.
You could,
No. We're going to leave it in. Right? They'll love it.
Give it to me, I'll edit it for you.
The unrated version.
Right. Right. But now you get to a little bit to understand the what it means after all this. HaKadosh said, he made all the 7 pillars, set the table, meaning he set up all the potential, Well, it was like a set table. We just had to. It was all laid out. We just had to like pull it together, right?
Well,
Like
actually,
just
it was really-
like eat it. Like eat it. Eating is integrating it. Integrating it.
It's actually a set table until Adam sinned.
Right, but what he said, but there's a step for it. Hesiton v'koron Elohus. They got God syndrome. You know,
Creativity.
there you go. But now you have a test.
Of creativity.
So what's the lashon marriage? Ozvu das Hakadosh Baruch Hu v'achol acharei das nochash. Right, which is das the Yitzhar. Right, we're supposed to, God has a plan for the world, and we're supposed to be the ones that'll fulfill the plan. He left us a world to finish off. We're going to pull the pieces together, and we're going to unlock the potential, and the two go together. The potential that's in each and every component only comes out when it's linked up with the whole. When it'll be in a vacuum, it'll stay locked away. And we're going to get to, that's the side of Tumah versus Tara in a second. We're going to get to that. All right, but so it's man, the power could go to his head, say, I want to form the world in my image. Not the image that God wants. God has, gave us the Torah, which is the instruction manual, and we're going to pull the world together by His map and according to His plan. Ozvu das hakarshu v'ochu achrei das nachash. Ozvu das hakarshu v'ochu achrei datam. Man rebels and says, you know what? If I have this power, I'm going to mold it in my own image. I'm going to give my own surah to the world. Right? And that's a God syndrome. Hesitam shekaron Elohus. They were misled by the fact that they were called, you be like gods. What does Rashi say in that? When the Nachash said, Visam Kelohim.
I think he's
Right?
trying to mimic God.
In a good way. Mimic him. Like mamash mimic him. Not mimic him and rebel against him. Mimic him and be like him all the way. That you're going to carry out God's plan. He wants to finish it off through you. Right? You're going to be Shutfo Shakadosh Baruch Hu, his partner. Right? We rebelled. Right? But so what does Rashi say on that? Yevisam Kelim, Yotzrei Olamas. You're going to give your own form to the world. And they went for it. Right? They went for it. So that was by Bria Sa'olam, and that's what brought Misa to the world. Afrata v'afar tashuv. Misa. Tumas Misa.
Anayom is that because whenever secularists, whenever people give up religion, they create their own religion. They always substitute religion for religion. For example, in communist Russia, they have a religion. Communism became their religion. They began to teach communism, the government, whatever it was. Today, all the secularists, they have their own little religion. This one, it's animal worship, where they want to give human characteristics to animals, or, I don't know.
No, it's true. It's true. There's a...
I always tell you, they always create another religion. And
It's just a different religion.
They'll
Now it's
kill for
liberalism.
it. They'll kill for it.
Yeah. Emes. It's all true. All right. What are you thinking, Yaakov?
No, see, the last thing you said is they brought Nisa into the world.
Very good. And now you're getting already Parshas Parah. Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there.
I think I'm not that.
You're not there yet. Yeah, okay.
Who also died.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit different because they weren't trying to rebel against the
That's
sin.
right. They weren't, but it was still Asher Lo Tziva. They made the decision themselves. They were Mora Halacha B'fnei Rabbam.
They saw it. They didn't wait for God. They took their own. That's exactly the principle.
Right, fine. So
It wasn't their own surah though. They weren't trying to do their own surah. They were trying
well.
they did their own, actually put their own recipe into it.
There you go, own recipe, and that's why they're a little bit different than the rest, and we're going to discuss that. Well, it's getting there. It's like the right, but let's go. So that's by Bracious, right? And that's by Bracious, right? It brought Misa into the world. Now here's the amazing, right? And it happened again by Matan Torah. By Matan Torah, we were, Yisrael Shamdu Ar Sinai Paskas or Muslim temporarily at Mamad Ar Sinai. We were like Adam Rishon before the sin. We had rectified, and we could have had Torah and mitzvahs on a much higher level, right? And we were called gods in that time. Marti Elohim Matem. But we felt the power to create, refashion the world, put our imprint on it, right? So now in that state of, sort of being drunk with power, combined with being confused. What happened with Moshe Rabbeinu? They took matters into their own hands. And they decided to make like their own Mishkan. That's why the Kuzri understands it. Right? They want to make, we're going to make our own Mishkan. Right? They took matters in their own hands and they made a Peso. Right? Right? But it was all like they took matters into their own. They're going to reform Judaism because Moshe Rabbeinu was gone. But also felt that they had the power, to take matters into their own hands. Right? And that brought death back into the world. Because if they would have held that level, they would have never died. So it's interesting. When they do that, they bring death back. Right? So I want to talk about this a little bit more. Right? And understand that life, the mitzias of life is all about chibur. It's all about connection. Right? Like the connection between body and soul. Death, right, is always a type of separation. Right? As a matter of fact, the Kuzri writes in Ma'amar Sheni, right, that you could view all forms of tumah as a type of death. Because like Hotzah Zel Vatola, death, Nida, death, it's potential for life that died. So it's not the big tumah like real death, but it's small death. And it goes on that even tumah shrotzim might be able to be explained that way. Death force. Certain death force that there is. That all tumah is a form of death. Right? But it goes deeper. It goes deeper. That you find in the halachas of tumah and tahara, right? Halachas of Parah Duma included, tumah is for 7 days. All hilchos tumah go in sevens. You lock up the Masorah for 7 days. 7, 7, 7, 7. 8th is always a day of tahara. Right? Yes, but it's more than that. Tumah is a form of Sarah. First thing I learned from my Rebbe, Moshe Shapiro. First time I met him in Flatbush years ago, right? And then after I had a passion, and I went to Eretz Yisrael, to learn by him, right? He said, he said, what Tumah and Tahara is? He told me, what the root of the word Tumah is? Tam, like tamun, like tumtum, sealed off. Tamun. Tumtum, it's sealed. You don't know if he's a Zachar and Keva. Sealed off, right? Metumtam, sorry, sealed, right? The tetmem. So tameh is a form of being sealed off, and that's why by the mitzvah badad yeshev, the man whose tameh is separate. He has to be mechutz machane badad yeshev, and that's why when a woman's tameh, she has no chibur with her husband. When you're tummy, you can't go into the Beis HaMikdash. Tumah causes separate things to be sealed off. He said, what's tahara? Openness. He says, Tzohar ta'aseh lateva, make a window for the teva. One of the Targumim says, Tzohar tihara, a window. It connects. Right? Interestingly enough, he didn't. This is what he told me. First, I learned. Then I realized later the Gemara in Shabbos darshans this pasuk on the 6th Sidrei Mishnah. Emunas itecha chosros chabra. Emunas is Seder Zroin. Itecha is Seder Moed. Chosen is Seder Nashim. Yeshua is Seder Nezikin. Chachma is Seder Kachim. And Das is Seder Taharos. Because that's what being Torah is, being connected. Das. Right? When things are Tahara opens up the passageways. Tumah is that the passageways are sealed off. Disconnect. And that's the shorish of death, the disconnect between body and soul that are meant to be together. Right? It's the biggest disconnect, and that's why it's the biggest tumah. Right? So when they went after, they ozvu dat makom. We're supposed to go after das Torah and Hashem's map of reality, and we're gonna fulfill that map of how reality is supposed to fit together in certain combinations. Al pi das Torah. They abandoned that das after their pseudo das, but the pseudo das, is not, since it's not the real thing, it makes separation. It brings death to the world. It brings tumah to the world. Right? So now the Mishkan, building of Ol Moed, was another chance. It was another chance. Right? And over here,
mikveh is another yitzira. The
right.
mikveh is tovavo.
Right.
The world is covered. You got to cover yourself with water.
Right.
When you emerge, you are recreating the world.
That's right. So like your new creation, right? Your Bria Chadasha, right? your new form, new tzura. Correct. That's correct. Right. So now so I'm going to say because the mikvahs 40 saw connecting the arboim yom of Yitziras of Lot. On the 40th is like when the form comes out. Before that's Maya Ba'alma. It's 40 saw connected the 40 days, of Yitziras of Lot to finally get the tzura. For that's Tohu Vavos, just Maya Ba'alma, first 40 days. Right. So now in all, Kayadu, we spoke this out. The Mishkan was all about pulling the pieces together, the cosmic pieces. The Mishkan is a mini universe. We spoke this out, right? And the Mishkan will be like the pure space. Like the Mishkan will be reality the way it was meant to be, and that's why the Shekhinah dwells. The Shekhinah was meant to be everywhere, but reality got corrupted. Like the Mishkan and the Beis Mikdash is going to be sterile space. That's like a little mini universe. Like that's why you learn out all Malachas Shabbos from Binyan HaMishkan. It's like a mini world, right? And the Mishkan is going to be like a mini universe the way it's meant to be. And then Los Lovo, the Beis Mikdash is going to have a spillover effect on the whole wide world, and the Shekhinah will be everywhere, right? But the Mishkan is supposed to be like this mini world. And that's why it had this din of the Zayin Yemei Miluim, connected the first 7 days of creation, where the Mishkan built and disassembled. Built and connected that Sunday is not Monday, and Monday is not Tuesday, Vayev Boker, separate pieces. The 7 days of the Miluim are connected to Shivas Yemei Bereshis. The Mershaw says the equation Mamish. It's connected to Chotz V'Amudei Shiva. So just like during the 7 days of creation, every day is separate. Every mimer of the 10 Amoros is separate. The world's not, it's disassembled. And that's why the Mishkan was disassembled every single day. Like putting the Mishkan together today was a tikkun of Sunday. And putting the Mishkan together this day was tikkun of Monday, but it's just the tikkun of the pieces. Right? And that's why the Mishkan didn't last. It's just being matakin a piece. And that's disassembled to be matakin a different piece. And that's the whole Inyan that's being done it's not in its regular function. It's being metakin pieces, connected to 7 days of creation, right? The 7 components we had, the Chotz V'Amudei Shiva, right? On the 8th day, right, when the Mishkan is going to stand and never come down again, unless Am Yisrael has to change location, right, by divine command, right? And it's going to go. The Kahuna is going to pass to Aaron Uvanav, and we spoke about this in Parshas Tetzaveh. That when Moshe Rabbeinu was doing the Avodah, it was like God is still doing the Avodah, like God created the world during the 7 days. So Moshe Rabbeinu doing the Avodah in the Choluk Lavan, She'ein Bo Imra, referring like Or Ein Sof, infinite light, as opposed to now when Aaron starts doing the Avodah with the Begodim, the big dead Begodim, the Chavod Sifaris, that's like the Avodah being handed over from Hashem to the Adam. Now you take over, and now you pull it together. I gave you the pieces, now you pull it together. Right? And that's the Yom HaShmini, Vayei Yom HaShmini, right? The 7 days of Miluim was to set up the pieces of reality. And the 8th day, the building of Mishkan on the 8th day is connected, pulling together all those 7 pieces in its perfected combination, perfected form. Pulling together the pieces, assembling them together in its perfected form. Al Yedei Aaron Uvanav, which is the Avodah is now being handed from Ein Sof to the Adam. Moshe Rabbeinu was representing God this time. He was a shliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's man, but he's a shliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Going to Aaron Baruch. Now the Avodah is going to the Adam. And the Adam is going to give a tzura to those 7 fixed components. Right? And then another Vaviu get a little bit drunk with the power. But there's a difference between them. Right? And the, let's say, Am Yisrael by the Chet HaEgel. Right? And Moshe Rab, and Adam and Chava. Right, that they did it l'shem shamayim, but they still did me'ain the same chet of Ozvu das makom. They didn't follow Moshe Rabbeinu. They didn't follow the Amar Halacha b'fnei Rabbam. They got also shtuye yayin. They got a little bit carried away. Purei rosh got it carried away. Right? They went after their own das, but they did it l'shem shamayim. So it's true they died, right? But their death is different, right? Their death was called a Kiddush Hashem, right? Bekrova HaKadosh, that the lesson of Mora Mikdash was taught through them, as Moshe Rabbeinu consoles Aaron. I see that they're bigger than me and you. HaKadosh who taught the lesson of Mora Mikdash through them, right? But it's more than that. The Zohar tells us, right, in Parshas Pinchas, right, that none of Avihu had their tikkun. that when Pinchas came to kill Zimri, he expired, right? He
The neshama went into him.
and right, and Nadav Avihu's neshamas went into Pinchas's body and reanimated
So he
him.
became a kind.
That's right, he became a Kohen. Exactly, the Zohar says the whole thing. That's why he got a din Kohen, because Nadav Avihu or Kohanim went into his body, reanimated
Two
him.
neshamas?
3.
But also he was the son of Aaron, besides that.
He was, but he wasn't a Kohen. No, he became a Kohen.
That's why he stabs Zimri?
And not only that, and that's when creativity is mutter. The halacha of kanoim pogbo is halacha ve'ein morim kain. If you ask your Rebbe, he'll tell you not to do it. It has to be, that's spontaneous, that's where spontaneity is mutter. Because it has to be spontaneous. Kanoim pogbo has to be spontaneous.
It has to be mutter.
Right?
It has to be mutter. It has to be
Has to be mutter, but if you ask your Rebbe, he'll tell you not to do it. It's halacha ve'ein morim kain. This is where you're supposed to be more halacha b'fnei rabcha, take the law into your own hands, right? Be spontaneous. So that halacha was their tikkun for their spontaneity, right? Right? And so they're doing more than what the Torah wanted. You know, they weren't rebelling. It was unauthorized, but it wasn't a rebellion, and that's how it's different. So so what they did had its tikkun, it had its aliyah, and they subsequently became Eliyahu Hanavi, and that's what's brought down Kisvei Ari. Ana Hashem Oshiana. Ana is Rashi Tevis Eliyahu Nadav Avihu. Right? There's Navi, Pinchas Eliyahu has in him the Neshamas of Nadav Avihu, and Dafka Tchias HaMesim Al Yedei Eliyahu. He's going to make Tchias HaMesim. Eliyahu Navi is going to make Shalom Ba'olam. He's going to pull together the pieces. Right? Meaning there's going to be a requiem because they did it l'shem Shemayim. They didn't do it to rebel. So even though it was unauthorized, right? But the kavana wasn't rebellious. The kavana was to try to be mechavin, to be mechabed HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though it's not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to do halachically, but because their heart was in the right place, that's why it has its tikkun. And also HaKadosh Baruch Hu was sending Eliyahu Navi, to make shalom b'olam, to pull the pieces together. Ve'eshiv le'vav sabay the tchias hamesim, that there shouldn't be any more mesim world which came in to the world because of these types of sins. Tchias hamesim, that deals with that bila mavs is al yedei Eliyahu. Right? And this is what it has to do with Parshas Parah. Parshas Parah, right, as a tikkun for Tumas Meis. A little bit of a tikkun, to show you that even death is not permanent. There's a way to overcome. Right? A similar davar that death is not permanent is that you could take off Tumas Meis. Right? You could take off Tumas Meis. Right? And that which shows that there's hope, and even death is not final. Right? And that's what does Rashi say on the beginning of Parshas. So by the way, that everyone knows, Rashi says that's a tikkun for Chet HaEgel, which the 8th that went the wrong way of rebellion. It was Chet HaEgel, bro, and everything about part of them was a tikkun for Chet HaEgel, right? They took right,
One count for the other.
And no, but it's more than that. No, but here's the point. So Rashi says that if a baby poops in a king's palace, the mother's got to clean it up, right? Right, so Rashi says, right, and now Kayadu al Pisod, right, that the 8th Midah that we call the Mal Mateva is Bina, that's called Ima. That 8th Midah, we're talking about the challenge of the 8th, the Midah of Bina, because the 7 forces, earthly forces, the 7 components are Chesed, Gvur, Tzveres, Netzachot, Yisod, Malchus, right, and then the 3 higher ones are all about intelligent design. Ratzon, Chachma Bina, or Chachma Bina Das, to put an intelligent design on it. Right? And the 8th is breakthrough, right? And the 8th is the breakthrough, and it's that 8th Midah, the 8th, is Bina, right? And that Midah is called Ima. Ki Aim Labina Tikra. And if you see your mother in a dream, Yitzape Labina, as the Gemara says, right? So that mamish, the 8th, is Parah Aduma, right? And that's the 8th Betikuno, pulling things back together, and Tuma is the separation, pulling things back together and bringing Tahara to the world.
Wonderful.